In bringing the Jedi Knight Anakin Skywalker towards the path of the dark side and Sith, Palpatine would of course reveal the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise, detailing how the Sith Lord represented a way in which Anakin could save Padme. As Palpatine outlined Plagueis' quest for immortality through midichlorian manipulation and his eventual downfall at the hands of his own apprentice, Plagueis and the ways in which he might have been able to cheat death was clearly important to Anakin, and instrumental in his fall to the dark side to join the Sith as Darth Vader. But in this scene from Episode 3, other than the subtle hints that are made to suggest it, it isn't entirely clear that Plagueis was Palpatine's Sith Master. Palpatine simply refers to it as a Sith legend, never revealing the connection between himself and Plagueis. In the Episode 3 novelization, the story of Darth Plagueis is actually called a myth by Palpatine, suggesting that while Plagueis may have lived at some point in the distant past, the story and the Sith Lord might not have even been real in the eyes of Anakin. And when Palpatine does finally reveal his true Sith identity to Anakin within the film, he doesn't say Plagueis taught him everything he knew about the Force, but merely his mentor. Based upon the films alone, it isn't entirely clear that Anakin knew the connection Palpatine had to Plagueis, or if the Sith Lord even actually existed, something more than a legend or myth, a story generated by the Sith Order. So it must be asked, what exactly did Darth Vader know about Darth Plagueis? And did Palpatine ever reveal more information about his master to his apprentice during the Imperial era? While it might appear questionable whether Vader knew Plagueis was Palpatine's master when solely watching Revenge of the Sith, there is confirmation within Legends that Vader knew at least this much about Plagueis. In the Episode 3 novelization, there's actually a second scene in addition to the Coruscant Opera House discussion where Palpatine goes into specific detail of who exactly Plagueis was. While Palpatine tells Anakin in the film his mentor taught him everything he knew about the Force when revealing he was Darth Sidious, in the novel, Palpatine explicitly told Anakin the story of Plagueis was no mere legend or myth, and most importantly, that Plagueis was his master. Therefore, within the novelization for Episode 3, Plagueis isn't treated so mysteriously. Palpatine did eventually tell Anakin he not only existed, but he was his Sith Master, further strengthening Anakin's pull to the dark side by making his attempt to save Padme seem even more achievable. But even outside of materials related to Episode 3, we know that from the Legends novel Death Star that Vader at least knew Plagueis was Palpatine's master. However, it's here where we learn just how little Vader actually knew about Plagueis in the years after Episode 3. In Death Star, having been terrified by the disappearance of Obi-Wan during their duel in Episode 4, Vader attempted to make sense of what happened, understanding that for the first time he could remember, there was no answer to be found within the dark side. In recognizing that Palpatine had never spoken of Jedi simply disappearing into nothingness, nor did he know about this ability from any other source, Vader wasn't entirely sure if Obi-Wan's vanishing was even a power found within the dark side. In this confusion, Vader would turn his thoughts to Darth Plagueis. In wondering if there was a connection between Obi-Wan's feat upon the Death Star and Plagueis' quest for immortality, it's revealed that Palpatine never went into significant detail about his master. As the novel explains, Palpatine only ever dropped hints about Plagueis' existence and achievements, and these hints only ever occurred very rarely, more so from time to time. In fact, by the time of the original trilogy, almost 2 decades since Vader was first introduced to Plagueis by Palpatine on Coruscant, it seems as though Vader still only really knew that Plagueis had been obsessed with immortality, and this is the reason why he considered Plagueis in relation to Obi-Wan. The fact that Palpatine wasn't forthcoming in sharing information about Darth Plagueis to Vader shouldn't be surprising, as it follows Palpatine's actions that we've seen in other areas within Legends. In the novel Labyrinth of Evil, it's revealed that Palpatine didn't discuss Plagueis with his apprentice Dooku in any meaningful way, offering very little relating to his master. It's not likely that Palpatine provided Vader with the writings made by Plagueis found within the Book of Sith, which outline Plagueis' efforts and goals on his path for immortality. Not only are there no notes made by Vader on these pages, but Plagueis does write about historical examples of Jedi disappearing into nothingness at the moment of their death. And since Vader had no reference of this at all when Obi-Wan did so during their duel, it's clear Palpatine never provided Plagueis' writings to Vader. I believe the lack of understanding about Plagueis by both Vader and Dooku was motivated by the same element. Palpatine never intended either of them to be his replacement, and therefore wasn't interested in imparting a tremendous amount of details regarding the teachings of Plagueis. As the Dark Lord The Rise of Darth Vader novel makes clear, Palpatine provided Sith teachings and techniques to Vader merely as if he was lending them, intentionally withholding lessons so that while Vader's power increased, he wasn't made immensely powerful. For Palpatine, he remained the ultimate Sith after Order 66 and throughout the Imperial era, and his commitment to the rule of one that would guide the Sith called for the Order to be sustained by only him, where all others, including Vader, executed his will. But the Legends lore demonstrates that while Vader knew Plagueis was Palpatine's Sith Master, he never received any substantial information about him, merely hints of his power, to the point where by Episode 4, he still only defined Plagueis by his obsession with immortality, the original lesson from Palpatine almost 2 decades earlier. So there we have it, how Vader was provided with only limited details about Plagueis after Episode 3. Thank you very much to all of the Patreon members of Star Wars Reading Club, as your support is so greatly appreciated. You can find all of our social media links and a link to our Star Wars gaming channel in the description below for updates and even more Star Wars content. We love making these videos, so why not subscribe for more fun Star Wars theories and discussions. Also, if you enjoyed the video, think about giving a like or leaving a comment. If not for me... For Sith Legends.